What would you do if a lion 400 pounds of muscle and teeth-locked eyes with a crying kid alone in the wild with no one to save him? Picture this. Dawn spills over a dusty road in a New Mexico wildlife reserve, painting the scrub gold and orange. There's David, a scrappy 3-year-old in a faded blue hoodie, curled up in the dirt, sobbing so hard his little body shakes. His voice high, broken cuts through the stillness like a knife. Then the brush rustles. Scout steps out a massive lion, mane tangled and wild as a thunderhead, amber eyes glinting like fire. He plants his paws, stares down the boy, and lets out a roar that rattles the ground, teeth flashing in the early light. You'd think this is where it ends. Blood screams, game over. But hold up. What happens next? It's so wild, so unreal, it'll knock the air right out of you. Rewind a few years to a night that feels like it's trying to drown the world. Rain pounds the New Mexico Badlands, turning the reserve's dirt trails into rivers of mud. Ethan trudges through it, a lean figure in a beat-up jacket, his flashlight slicing through the dark. His 28, with shadows under his eyes that say he's been running on fumes too long. Once a tech grunt in Denver coding apps, chasing deadlines, choking on espresso, and stress, he hit a wall. Cubicles broke me, he'd tell you, voice rough. Quit one day, sold my crap, came here. This fixed me. The reserve's his lifeline, now a high-tech sanctuary sprawled across rugged hills. Drones buzzing overhead, electric fences humming. But poachers still creep in, exploiting the desperate border towns nearby. His light catches something, glint of wet fur. He freezes. There's a lioness sprawled in the muck, her golden coat matted with blood. Bullet holes pepper her side, casings scattered like ugly confetti. Poachers. Ethan's stomach twists, but then he hears a tiny, pitiful whimper. Against her flank, a cub huddles, shivering, barely bigger than a house cat. Scout. Ethan drops to one knee, mud soaking his jeans, breath fogging in the cold. You're not dying tonight, bud, he mutters, peeling off his jacket. He scoops the cub up, tucking him close. Rain stings his face, but he barely feels it. This little guy's all that matters now. Back at the ranger station, Ethan's a mess sleeps a memory as he bottle feeds Scout every few hours. The cub's a scrappy thing, mewling and pawing at the bottle, milk dribbling down his chin. Jake, a broad-shouldered ex-Marine with a buzz cut and a permanent smirk, leans in the doorway, arms crossed. You and that runt pathetic, he says, voice dripping with mockery. Should have left him out there. Nature's brutal, man. Ethan doesn't look up, just wipes Scout's muzzle with a rag. Trouble's fine, he says, quiet but firm. He's mine. Weeks turn to months. Scout's strong enough to join the reserve's pride, and Ethan hands him off to a lioness fierce as a storm, but soft with her own cubs. She sniffs him, then pulls him close, and Ethan exhales. He watches from a jeep as Scout grows, scrapping with the other cubs. One day, a bigger cub swipes his ear, leaving a jagged scar. Scout roars back, tiny but fearless. By the time he's full grown, he's a beast, huge, solitary, mane dark and thick, eyes sharp as a blade. He breaks from the pride, staking his own turf. Ethan tracks him with a handheld radio, a quiet pride in his chest. King of his patch, he murmurs, grinning. Their bond's unspoken, but it's iron. Fast forward to now. Dawn creeps over the reserve, the air cool and crisp, the sky streaked with pink. Scout's prowling his territory, hunger gnawing at his gut. His paws sink into the dirt, silent as shadows. When a sound jolts him upright, a kid's cry, raw and jagged, slicing through the quiet. He stalks toward it, muscles rippling under his scarred hide. There, in the middle of a dusty road, is David, 3 years old maybe, in a hoodie too big for him, faded blue and fraying at the cuffs. He's curled up tight, weeping, his little hands clutching a crumpled photo in a busted toy car with one wheel missing. Mama said, wait, he hiccups, voice breaking. He tosses the car into the dirt, a small, defiant flick of his wrist, like it's all he's got left to fight with. Scout circles, a low growl rumbling deep in his chest. His mane flares, wild and dark, catching the first rays of sun like a crown. He's close enough to smell the kid's salt, fear, dust. David's tear-streaked face tilts up, eyes wide, red-rimmed, locking with Scout's. The lion could end him one swipe, one snap, done. But something stops him. His eyes catch a glint of bullet casing, half buried near David's sneakers, brass winking in the light. Fresh tire tracks scar the road, deep and chaotic, veering off into the brush. Scout's growl shifts, sharp insurgent, wary. He sniffs the air, ears twitching, hackles rising. The photo in David's hand shows a young woman, his mom. Her face tight with worry, and a shadowy guy with a scarred jaw looming behind her. Scout paces, tension coiling in his frame. Whatever's out there, it's not just this kid he's clocking. Then it hits. Scout explodes forward, charging past David so fast the kid topples back with a yelp. A scarred rogue lion bursts from the brush, collared, wild-eyed teeth bared in a snarl. Its fur's patchy, ribs jutting under a frayed leather strap, some poacher's bait animal. They collide in a storm of dust and roars, claws slashing, a tangle of fury. A sharp crack splits the air. A sniper bullet rips through Scout's flank, tearing fur and flesh. Blood streaks down his side, hot and dark, but he doesn't falter. He slams the rogue to the ground, pinning it with a paw, his growl rattling the earth. The rogue scrambles free, limping off into the scrub, tail low, beaten. Ethan's Jeep screeches around a bend, tires spitting gravel, engine howling. Another shot pings the hood, metal shrieks as he swerves, heart slamming against his ribs. Scout, he yells, flooring it to block David from the ridge where a sniper's scope glints, cold and deadly. Scout's still standing, limping but fierce, shaking off blood like it's nothing. His amber eyes blaze up at the shooter, mane flaring, a roar ripping out of him like he's daring them to try again. Ethan's radio crackles, Jake's voice tight and rushed. "Fence breached my mast, man! Get out!" Ethan's jaw clenches, knuckles white on the wheel. "They're not taking him," he snarls. This isn't random. The rogue's allure, Scout's the prize, and David's caught in the crossfire. Ethan slams the Jeep into park, dust billowing around them. Scout's a tank on four legs, wounded but unbowed, and Ethan's gut twists with awe. Scout flops beside David, blood matting his fur, breath heaving. He's a living wall, 400 pounds of muscle and grit between the kid and whatever's left out there. David sobs quiet, his small hand reaching toward Scout's mane, trembling but curious. Ethan steps from the Jeep, boots crunching gravel, pulse hammering in his ears. Scout locks eyes with him, calm, steady, a glint of trust in those amber depths. Like he's saying, "Your turn, man." Then he hauls himself up, limping off into the brush, tail flicking, blood trailing in the dirt. Ethan watches him go, throat tight. "Tough bastard," he mutters, half a grin breaking through. He scoops David up, the kid's small hands gripping his sleeve like a lifeline. "He's strong," David whispers, voice shaky but sure, pointing after Scout. Ethan nods, chest aching. "Yeah, he is, kid." He feels something crinkle in David's hoodie, a note, smudged with dirt and tears, scrawled in a frantic hand. "Keep him safe. They're closing in." Ethan's gut twists hard. Who's they? He digs deeper, fingers brushing a burner phone half buried near the tire tracks. One voicemail waits. He hits play a woman's voice, low and trembling. "They're coming. Protect him." The line cuts to static. Back at the ranger station, Ethan fires up the drone logs while David huddles on a cot, clutching that photo. The footage rolls. Lisa, David's mom, stumbles through a fence gap, her dark hair plastered with sweat, tears streaming down her face. She's thin, worn, maybe 30, shoving David ahead of her. "Stay here, baby," she chokes out, kissing his forehead. A scarred guy in a beat-up pickup leans out, barking, "Move it, Lisa!" His voice is gravel and venom. She hesitates, eyes darting back to David, then climbs in. The truck peels out, tires spinning, leaving the kid alone in the dust. Ethan leans back, rubbing his jaw. "Border town debt," he mutters. She owed more than she could pay, ran out of moves. He's seen it before, folks in those dusty towns south of the reserve, scraping by, borrowing from the wrong people. Lisa must have crossed someone bad, and David was her last play to keep safe. Ethan glances at the kid, now tracing Scout's outline on a notepad with a stubby crayon. "Scout took a bullet for you," he says half to himself. "Am in this now, no backing out." Ethan's still chewing on it when the drone logs ping something ugly. The pickup's plates match a maintenance vehicle Jake signed out last week. His blood runs cold. He storms Jake's trailer, boots slamming the warped floorboards, and bangs the desk so hard a coffee mug topples. "What you do, Jake?" he growls, voice low and dangerous. Jake leans back in his chair, smirking, arms crossed like he's untouchable. "Lisa begged me to help out some nasty folks' cash. I sold her out. Your precious lion." Bonus prize. Ethan's mind flashes back years ago. Jake stood in the rain, watching him cradle Scout, seething under his breath. "Always the hero, huh?" he'd muttered, fists clenched. "I got tired of it." Ethan spots a GPS tag on a shelf, Scout's old collar, rigged to track him. His hands shake as he grabs the burner phone, replaying Lisa's voicemail loud enough for Jake to hear. "Jake, call them off!" Her voice cracks with panic. Jake shrugs, smirk thinning. "Businessman. Lions fetch a fortune, poachers pay big." Ethan's fist flies before he can think, cracking Jake's jaw with a sickening thud. Jake stumbles, blood trickling from his lip. "You set up my lion and a kid for cash?" Ethan spits, grabbing zip ties from a drawer. He yanks Jake's wrist behind him, binding them tight. "You're done." Jake's smirk fades, eyes wide with something like fear. "You don't get it. Man, it's just shut it." Ethan cuts him off, shoving him against the wall. His fury's a live wire. He trusted this guy, worked beside him 4 years, and he sold them all out for a paycheck. Rangers haul Jake off in cuffs the next day, his excuses fading as they shove him into a truck. Ethan digs into Lisa's trail. Cops call later with bad news. They found a torched car near the border. Her ID in the ashes, a bullet hole in the driver's seat. She's likely gone, taken out by the crew Jake tipped off. Ethan stares at the phone, jaw tight. "Maybe not," he murmurs, clinging to a sliver of hope she's out there, hiding, fighting. But David's got no one else now. Ethan knows that much. He wrestles with it all night, pacing the station, watching David sleep on the cot, that photo tucked under his arm. Orphanage? Systems cold. Ethan's seen kids get lost in it. Or him? He takes David for a Jeep ride at dusk, the kid giggling as they bounce over ruts. They roll past Scout, lounging on a hill, his fresh scar glinting in the fading light. He's unbowed, king of his world, blood long dried. David leans out, mimicking Scout's roar, high-pitched but fierce, and grins wide. Ethan ruffles his hair, a decision locking into place. "No system's taking you, kid," he says, voice steady. "You're mine, so on." Back at the station, David sketches Scout beside their Jeep on the dashboard with a marker, tongue poking out as he draws. Ethan tapes it up, grinning. Scout's free now. Rangers tried tagging him again, but he's a ghost, untrackable. "Good," Ethan mutters. "Stay that way, buddy." He looks at David, then out at the hills where Scout roams. "Me, a kid, a lion, we're banged up, but we're us." Lisa's debt drove her to this, a desperate bid to shield David from the mess she couldn't escape. Ethan will shield him, now him and Scout, the weirdest, toughest family going. "Life's a fight," he says, half to himself, watching the sun dip low. "You pick your crew and hold tight." So what's your take? Could a lion turn hero like that? Would you step up like Ethan? Drop it in the comments, smash that like if this hit you hard, and subscribe. Next story's even crazier. Catch you later.